Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today on Sword and Sandal Cinema, I'm proud to bring you the scholars from the edge
Woo!
of Echo. Nicholas Diak and Michele Brittany. Greetings, those scholars. How are you?
Greetings, Hercules. Doing very well. We are also joined by our feline producer at this end, that is Cecily. She joins us on every occasion that we do a vidcast. So we are glad to have her here. We're glad to be here. It's a
Even all the
Tuesday
hair that gets
Yes,
flicked
all,
up.
all the hair, all the cat hair, and we are ready to go. It's Tuesday evening. It's a nice evening. We're here with you
It's always good to see you.
and all the folks that are watching and listening.
And Cecily's great. Today I saw her giving directions through interpretive dance.
Yes, yes, she does do that too.
You are such a strange cat.
Mhm.
So hopefully you're doing well, Hercules. Everything going awesome for you?
I'm Everything is always awesome. How about you?
You know what? This we've had some downs this month. Car problems and 110 degrees outside while having car problems, but you know, and other things. But there's always good stuff going on. So I think I'll start off. First good thing was it was my birthday month.
Hey,
Woo!
happy birthday! Yay!
I got old. I'm 44 now. I don't feel it, but I definitely don't look it. But Michelle took me out for oysters and tiki drinks, and it was a nice. Took an extra day off work, so nice 3-day weekend to decompress and just kind of be old. And then, well, oh yeah, we also went antique shopping at a new place, and
Mhm.
I saw. I didn't pick it up, but I should have. Maybe next time. But an old pepper shaker that was for the movie Ben-Hur, and I'm like, oh man, that
Wow.
Surprised you didn't do
I
that.
just I forgot it on the way out. Oh,
Oh,
you silly butt.
come on,
So
Cecily.
that was a positive thing.
Tina found something for me.
What's that? What's that?
You see
Is
it?
that Pop? Is that
Oh,
Popeye?
it is Popeye. Very cool.
Old school Popeye is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, Especially the early Technicolor ones where they use like glass plates to make kind of realistic backgrounds and stuff. Popeye was ahead of his time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now they're making horror movies with Popeye. I've seen several already. Popeye's showing Winnie the Pooh and the Banana Bunch and all these other ancient, to most people these days, cartoon figures and live action figures becoming horror movie icons.
Well, they've entered public domain. Like I know Mickey Mouse, or at least Steamboat Willie version of Mickey Mouse, just hit public domain, and so of course they released a horror movie called Scream Boat Mickey or something like that.
Interesting. That is so I work in the paper crafting industry. And so I think Steamboat Bill
Willie.
Willie
Mhm.
went into public domain about a year ago. And we have a variety of items that is old style Mickey as well as Minnie. So
You gotta
yeah.
capitalize on that.
So it's interesting in it, and uh, even Steamboat Willie is very, very popular, even today. So,
It'll be interesting to see what happens when some very popular superheroes come to the public domain in the very near future. I'm waiting to see what that unleashes upon our.
what's going to be it like? Superman,
I believe
Superman and Batman, or
Batman, I heard, and I believe I heard Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. I might not be remembering correctly, but I know a couple of real superheroes are going to be in public domain in the next half decade or so. And I'm anticipating all the knockoffs that are going to appear at that time.
oh yeah. Well, and today even again in the paper crafting there are nods to those type of lots of different characters that are kind of like Miss Kitty, for instance, or Pusheen, or something that looks like Marvel but really isn't. That makes kind of nods to it. So it'll be interesting to see when those go into public domain and how that impacts some of the periphery. So, but what's going on for you?
Oh,
What is new
I
besides
said,
your birthday?
oh, okay. Want me to keep going? Okay. Let's see. New article at my website. I review Cave Woman issue 2 of the Snow storyline. I'm trying to get those out once a month as I go through my old Bud Root Cave Woman archives. Um, my sword and sorcery cocktails are finally done. I got those turned in. If y'all remember a year ago, I designed 3 cocktails for 3, excuse me, issues of New Edge Sword and Sorcery. Well, I did that again this year. So those are all turned into the publisher. I can't really reveal too much, but I'll say what books they're based off of. So I made a cocktail based off of Tomo Gozen.
Oh, well, I remember that book.
I made one based off of Amaro.
I remember that book too.
And I made one based off of Gene Wolfe's Severin character.
Remember that? So these are coming back. I remember when they were coming back for years after they originally came out.
See, I've never read them, so I had to like read these, make a cocktail out of them, and it's tough work sometimes because I'm not exactly an inventive person when it comes to mixology. I follow other people's recipes, not my own. But I got those done, turned in. So later this year, when this new batch of New Edge Sword and Sorcery comes out, I'll have cocktails all in those again. So always exciting to do, and already got asked back for next year. So hopefully I'll learn what those are a little earlier than this year. But um, and then for Michelle and we both opened up bookstores online.
Yes, we did.
We as you can probably tell back there, I got a new bookshelf that goes in the corner, which has freed up some space, allowing me to go through oh books. And I'm just finding handfuls of books of like I got duplicates of, or I don't need them anymore or whatnot, and they're just taking up space. So um there's a website called Pango Books. And you can just basically open up your own digital bookstore. People buy your book, they give you a shipping label, and you just post it off. And so um
What's the name of your bookstore?
mine says Nicholas Diak's bookstore.
I'm a little more creative with mine, so it's not under Michelle, but my bookstore is called House of the Mooncats apostrophe.
Mooncats is one word.
Yeah, Mooncats is one word, apostrophe virtual bookstore. So feel free to go visit my bookstore
Mhm.
as well. I do pack my books up really nice and neat and send them out promptly. So.
I've got like a lot of cyberpunk books, some Alan Steele sci-fi books, some old history books I don't need, all over the map.
As are mine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to just go through and create some, free up some space. There's duplicate books that I have, and I haven't like a nicer version of books, so I don't need a paperback, for instance. So it's kind of all over the board. I haven't put in yet, but I'm planning to put in some of the, I'm going to say Comic-Con type books that I've picked up over the years. So there might be
We
some
get a lot of
comics,
RCs and promo books that we just want to get rid of.
things that I bought when I was there that I've read or didn't read but don't intend to. But I've read a lot of comic book stuff that I just need more space. So there's going to be graphic novels and trade paperbacks on my list in all genres down the road.
And links to our bookstores are also at my website too.
Yeah, because he's good that way.
On my page, let people know about your bookstores and let them know when you have sales or new shipments coming. And if you could send me the name of that site, I have to do the same thing.
There you go.
We have a house, and in this house, we not only live, but we have the stock and inventory from the store we had, the Barbarian Bazaar,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
uh, the Olympian Marketplace. So all those books and comics and graphic novels and curios and tchotchkes are still all here. So I'd like to be able to do. And I was researching ways to do it, and that might be something I could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll send you that info. I mean, the way, you just take the way it works is, you put the app on your phone, you take a picture of the book and the ISBN, and you create a selling entry for it under your bookstore, and you're good to go. You just, put in like, hey, rough condition, has sticker on the front, or creased spine, or flawless condition, never, all that type of stuff. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, and they'll give you the mailing label, so you don't have to worry about the mailing label. All you have to do is make sure to get into a packaging and into the mail within 3 days of purchase of the book. And then they do an admin fee. I think it's 20%.
It is kind of a higher fee, but without having to worry about shipping labels and all that stuff. Oh, the books are just sitting there taking up room, so
Yeah,
it's all bonus.
it's bonus income. So
Awesome.
yeah. So for me, my friend Travis and I we finished up talking about the first season of Dark Winds. It's a Native American period mystery that's based on Tony Hillerman novels. We finished up the first season. We really enjoyed it. We are going to go on and talk about the second season once Travis is back from Spain. But we do have a 3-part show talking about Fellowship of the Ring. So I will make sure to get that linked over on your Facebook stuff, Hercules, so that way if people want to listen, they can. While two geeky people who really like Lord of the Rings geek out. So it was a lot of fun. Anything else, or are we about ready to go?
I think the last thing is just video games. Playing 2 video games. First one, brand new James Bond video game came out, like the first James Bond game in I think 15 years or so. And as Michele did a James Bond book. We like our Euro spy stuff. So this is a young James Bond as he goes through the 00 program. It's called 007 First Light. Great game. I liked it.
And I enjoyed watching him play. It was actually neat. It's definitely in the spirit of the James Bond, early James Bond, and kind of reminded me of the some of the like teenage kind of into young adult James Bond series as well. It's being held as a really good game, and I would agree. Definitely a good game.
And the last game I'm playing, more sword and sorcery related, is Lunar. It's a JRPG from the 90s. I played this when I was a young lad and loved it, and they just did a re-release of it, so I've been picking that up and going through old nostalgia overdose. But for folks who like the old Final Fantasies and Chrono Trigger, just like that stuff.
Yep. All right.
What was that, Hercules? I'm sorry, you cut out.
That was fantastic.
So, tonight, for movies, very, very much a peplum film. And by that, I mean it's not a peplum film at all.
But it's epic.
But it is epic. Wikipedia says in the first sentence it's an epic.
It does. And
we talk about epics here. We're talking about Hundreds of Beavers.
Whoa.
And yes, that poster is very much a reference to it's a Mad World.
Yes.
All right. Plot. Hundreds of Beavers.
So are we going to talk about how we got to that or later?
On the plot, after the plot.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because big reveal of why are we talking about Hundreds of Beavers? Jean is a brewer of Applejack, and he has his own orchard. As he celebrates with a big banquet with lots of guests, his giant keg of Applejack rolls over and explodes, taking out his orchard and knocking him out until it's the wintertime. He awakes in the forest in the snow. He is super hungry, and he tries to catch some food. Rabbits, fish, raccoons, etc., using a variety of methods. Throwing snowballs, making a rope from his clothes, using icicles, making giant bowling balls from snowballs. He's not very good, but eventually he does catch some fish, which he trades to a fur merchant. At the merchant, Jean falls in love with his daughter, but he also meets a master beaver trapper. Jean accidentally falls into one of the trapper's pits and breaks his legs. The trapper takes Gene under his wing and teaches him how to be a trapper. However, wolves eventually eat the trapper's dogs and the trapper himself. Dead set on winning the merchant's daughter, using the knowledge from the trapper, Jean is tasked with getting 100 beaver pelts. He develops a routine and eventually gets the pelts, but before he could turn them in, however, he is arrested by the beaver police and put on beaver trial because he killed a lot of beavers. He is sentenced to be executed, but he breaks free, beats up the beavers, accidentally destroys their space program, and gets all the pelts back and wins the girl and the merchant father over. The end.
Does that not sound epic?
Truly epic.
Truly epic. Definitely a hero's journey type of movie.
Which is something we will definitely talk about because they
Yes.
make that in Wikipedia. So two things. So the first thing is, Michele, overall, how did you enjoy Hundreds of Beavers?
I found it very entertaining, very humorous, definitely epic. I really liked the mix of homages to silent films, video games, and kind of the regional influences, because this is shot in, I think, Wisconsin kind of area.
Wisconsin, Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, and so you definitely get the inclusion of kind of a regional feel. But I'm going to say one of the most important factors is I consume a lot of movies, television shows, and things like that. And I will say that this film has a lot of resonance. I am still thinking about it after watching it a few days ago.
Are you saying a movie
And-
called Hundreds of Beavers left an impression?
It did. And honestly, and Nick can attest to this, we'll watch a movie and I can be the next day like, what happened in that movie? Because I don't remember. You remember what happens in Hundreds of Beavers. I will leave it at that. What was your initial thoughts?
I enjoyed it. There's some great jokes. As a breaking case of emergency film, we heard of this film by online watching Red Letter Media. Saw it recommended on Reddit as basically a dialogue-free airplane. So I picked it up a couple weeks ago, and we decided to give it a watch, and it was funny. Definitely because Michelle's silent film expert, and this movie is definitely a neo-silent film, to put it that way. So I guess the big thing is, why are we talking about Hundreds of Beavers? And I will tell you why, Hercules.
And those of you out there.
This is my fault, okay? This is all my fault. It started off innocently enough. We were going to watch He-Man, the new He-Man film. But it's basically on its way out of theater, and we just, it's a 2.5 hour film, and we just could not break away from work and other stuff to go catch He-Man. So I'm like, okay, we can't watch He-Man. What else can we watch? I'm in a Sword and Planet mood. Well, I picked up this movie from Kino called The Empire. And I picked this up because it was cheap. And, the description basically, like, there's people in space that are fighting each other. There's a chosen one on Earth. And it's supposed to be a comedy that's kind of a parody of Star Wars. I'm like, this sounds fun. A lighthearted, Jupiter ascending kind of movie. Person from Earth goes into space, has an adventure. This will be fun. And the new He-Man, I think, is kind of like that. Prince Adam's already on Earth and gets transported to Eternia or whatever. This will be a decent He-Man substitute. Oh my God, Hercules, I've never been so wrong in my life. This movie was so bad and boring and not funny. We did not laugh once. I think the entire movie is a Shaggy Dog joke where it's one of those jokes that carries on forever, and then you get to the punchline, and it's just like kind of an anticlimactic punchline. This movie infuriated us watching it because it moves so slow. It takes place barely in space. It's all in a seaside French town where the bad guys and good guys are all humans that are aliens. They all live next door to each other. And I think that's supposed to be the humor, but we've seen stuff like that from like Men in Black and what, but it boils down to this movie is very, very, very bad. And we watched it last Wednesday. with the intent to talk about on Scholars because, hey, look, I mean, if you look at that, it looks like a Sorted Planet film. And then Thursday afternoon came across. I'm like, we can't do it. We can't subject our Scholars from the Edge of Time audience to this treatment.
But we will tell you, avoid it at all
Avoid it.
costs.
So we needed.
We took the hit for you, gang.
Do not watch The Empire. I'm gonna get rid of this as soon as I can. Oh my God, it burns me holding it. So we needed a substitute movie for today. And over in Western Phoenix, they opened up a Buc-ee's, which is, I'd never heard of Buc-ee's until like 2 years ago, but it's apparently a very cult appreciated gas station. It's very beloved in Texas, and their mascot is a beaver. And this is a gas station that, I'm not exaggerating, has like 100 pumps. And inside, they make their own barbecue. It's not like, they took stuff out of the refrigerator and heat it up. No, they have like a barbecue restaurant and a fudge restaurant. And it's
a bakery.
It's a big deal. And they opened this up, and Michele and I decided to check out why it's a big deal. But because the gas station is beaver themed, it made me think of, hey, I have a copy of Hundreds of Beavers. And the first line on Wikipedia says this is an epic film. This is justification enough for Scholars of the Edge of Time.
It's an independent, epic, slapstick comedy film. So we focused in on the epic.
It is pretty epic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how
That's how we got here.
That's how we got here. Do not watch The Empire. Do watch Hundreds of Beavers. So I actually took my plot synopsis fairly seriously because the movie, plot-wise, is a serious film. It's like describing a plot of Airplane. They're in a plane that everyone's sick and they gotta land it. The situation is dead serious. It's all the gags that make it funny. Same thing with Hundreds of Beavers, except that there's no dialogue. For all purposes, this is a silent film. That there's no dialogue. There's barely any intertitles. There's like maybe one or two of those. It is just visual gag after visual gag. Although the main character will like grunt or laugh or say, "oh," he says "aha" a lot. But that's about it. So think of basically a Buster Keaton film, but made today.
Yeah, but made today. So it has sounds. It is in black and white, so people have to get over that part because you need the black and white to create the visual contrast.
But also be the homage to the Three Stooges, Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd.
Exactly. And it does have music. Like if you went to see this movie in the theater, you would have a piano accompaniment to help you to kind of be the musical cues of how you should be responding or what kind of emotion you should be feeling. And so they do have music as part of the movie, as well as, like Nick said, grunts or a laugh or something. So it's not completely silent, but it is for all purposes no dialogue.
Yeah, it's basically a neo-silent film. Like I haven't seen too many. It's Guy Madden, right? Guy Madden, he's like a Canadian filmmaker who makes kind of experimental silent films. The only movie of his I saw was The Saddest Music in the World, and that's back at the Grand Cinema when you and I first met. But I think he did like a vampire movie. He does like German expressionist type cinema and stuff, but this is comedy. This is flat out comedy. There's really no peplum elements in this film, but I do want to say there's many sequences of the beavers. Now, hold on, let me back that up a bit. Every animal in this film is played by a person in a costume.
Mascot costumes, according to Wikipedia.
Like if you went to a football game and the mascot was a beaver, that's who's in this film. So it's not like this trapper is going around chasing beavers. He's chasing beavers that are played by dudes and women in a costume, a mask. They're basically furs.
Animals were hurt in the filming of this movie.
Yeah, there's no animals. So the rabbits are people in costume. Raccoons, people. Wolves are people. There's a horse, and a Native American trapper tries to get on this horse, and he can't do it because The horse is two people under a blanket.
Yeah.
But anyway, uh, what was that? Oh, the peplum elements. So you have these people in beaver costumes, and they're carrying logs, and so there's a lot of gags of them like, whipping around with this log and taking out, the trapper guys and stuff, which very much is like a lot of the Hercules films, like Hercules and the Mongols, where Hercules rips a tree up and it's like blah blah blah. But take out Hercules and replace it with a beaver. So you have that in this film. Um, as a side note, I don't know how well we can talk because I don't want to say this movie's funny and just keep describing the gags, but we're going to do that anyway because there's this that's the movie. It's gag after gag after gag, and seeing a beaver holding a giant tree and he bops someone else with it, it's funny and it's very Hercules-ish. Um, I do want to say, uh, there's also, like Michelle said, there's a very video game aspect to this film, which you wouldn't
Mhm.
have in a silent film, but the way the story is told is through kind of, I'm going to say, video game logic in a way. Like he goes to the merchant to sell his beaver pelts, but the shopkeeper has like a board and it, says sword, two beaver pelts, gun, three beaver pelts. And every time it's basically like a gameplay loop. He loops around, sets his traps, gets more money, buys better equipment, learns, levels up, and repeat process. And so that's kind of like how the narrative goes, and that shows that's where the hero's journey comes in. They make a big deal about the hero's journey on this in Wikipedia. I'm gonna pass that to you because you're the hero's journey expert.
Yeah. So there is, and I think that's what makes our main character, Jean, a charming hero. Because he starts out, he's kind of a glutton, he's a drunkard, and he is, not a real productive person in society. He's not taking life seriously. But when his farm and his alcohol and his house are all burned and he wakes up in the middle of the winter time, it's kind of the awakening that he needs. That's the first step. And you really could argue kind of each step of the hero's journey, and different people that come in to kind of help him and be supporting characters to help him overcome things, and to learn things from the support people. So that way, when he's faced with, like, for instance, the trial that the beavers hold, because what they're going to do is they're going to find him guilty and they're going to make a human pelt out of him. So, he has to get over all these different adversities. He's also learning along the way because he doesn't know about how to be a trapper and things like that. So, through his involvement with these different individuals, the master fur trader who helps him to learn how to be a trapper that can, be successful. And you can see how he progresses because he really struggles initially. And you can see this even with, like, Clash of the Titan. I'm going to go back to the 1981 film where you have this young person and he's like kind of in awe of the world and he doesn't really know where to go or what to do. And he really does need guidance. And so that's where the master fur trapper comes in and really kind of takes Jean in, and not dissimilar to what we would see in a lot of the peplum films. Now, while Hercules is a demigod and there's kind of a natural hero to him, Jean has to really get over and kind of, sidestep all the errors that he has as a human, and his shortcomings. And so you really do see him flourish through the movie. And
Did you
that
talk about his sequence where he's tempted by booze again?
No, I hadn't talked about
Okay.
that. But yes, he does when he's able to escape and he's trying to get out of the beaver dam, he is tempted. But he thinks about this merchant's daughter who he wants to marry. He knows that he has a mission. He has a destiny. And I mean that's not unlike what we see in the Peplum films, that there's a particular destiny that our hero is trying to fulfill, that's going to bring him through the other side, that's going to change him and make him a better and different person. And so that's where Jean's uh being the hero, and kind of a hero that we can identify with as humans. We all
He's
have
pretty
our
much an everyday person.
He really is. And I think that's what, I'm going to say makes him a little different from like the Hercules and even our Perseus and our other characters that we see in a variety of Peplum films, is that here is a person that we could really identify with. And he is kind of an inspiration. He has to get through, he has to figure out how he can hunt, he has to figure out, you
I
know,
couldn't do this stuff.
yeah, I mean, and it really is interesting how he tries to solve different problems, and he really kind of falls into it, not unlike what we would probably do. And I think that's what makes the hero's journey more personable for us as viewers, but it also makes it a more charming and interesting and ultimately entertaining and humorous journey. And I think that's part of what, as I was saying at the beginning of the hour, is how the story resonates. There's so many narrative beats that really help to kind of keep it in your mind, and you kind of think about, oh, well, gosh, you really did kind of solve this. Oh, yes, I remember some slapstick, but I'm going to be honest, I really remember the story and what he has to, conquer to get to his destiny, which is to marry the merchant's daughter. And so that's something that I actually really enjoyed about the story.
To rewind on what you said about it being personable,
Mhm.
that's one of the, I think, kind of an important thing in this film is that Jean goes about his journey his own way. There's a sequence. So Jean basically comes under the wing of the trapper, and the trapper has a map of where all his traps are set. And, he has his routine, check these traps and all this stuff. And when Jean looks at the map, it looks like a giant maze.
Yes.
It's a visual gag. He can't really make heads or tails, but the sequence that they're being attacked by wolves, the trapper guy basically hands him his map and says, continue on. And so, the torch has been passed to Jean. Well, he looks at the map and, he can't make heads or tails of it. So what does he do? He erases it and starts his own map of where he lays his own traps. And of course, the traps that he lays are kind of influenced by what the trapper taught him, but they all have his own spin on it.
Mhm.
Like literally his own spin. There's a trap that's like this trebuchet thing that, is supposed to, a beaver tugs at it and it turns around and bops him. Well, he winds it up so fast it turns into a fan and sucks the beaver up. It's stuff like that that he makes unique his own take after, days of trial and error and then finally learning from a master. One of the recurring gags in the film is early in the film, he's trying to get eggs from a tree because he's hungry. And he sees these eggs, and like in a cartoon fashion, he does this, the woo woo, whistle, which attracts a woodpecker that beats his head. And so throughout the film, whenever he sees something that pleases him, he does this whistle, and the woodpecker comes in and pecks at his head. Well, it's a funny gag, but he actually turns that into a trap of sorts. He eventually sets up a very Rube Goldberg system of a snowman and a trigger method and a rope and whatnot, and he ties himself to it. Uh, the purpose is he's trying to get inside of a wolf den to get some of his pelts back, but the wolves will tear him up. So he goes in, and when the wolves appear, he does the woo woo whistle, woo woo, and the woodpecker arrives and chips at the snowman that looks like him, which triggers this other thing, which makes this pulley go phew and whips the guy out of the wolf's den. So he's safe. So how he turned basically a nuisance, a problem, into something that works for him.
Yeah,
It's embedded gags, but at the same time shows his growth from
Mhm.
overcoming problems, making solutions in a creative way that's uniquely him, and it's funny.
Yeah, and it really rather makes sense because the master fur trader is an older fellow, so he's been doing it for years and years and years. So you wouldn't expect that Jean is going to be able to basically perform at the same level. So he kind of takes the keep it simple, the KISS method, and I mean even his map is such that it goes one way and then back and another way. And it really is kind of simplified. We can follow it. There's no dialogue. And so it makes it a fun journey and makes it very video game like.
As a side note, I brought up earlier in our talking that I was playing James Bond 007 First Light, which is a game that you do a lot of stealth in. This particular James Bond game has you hiding behind a lot of doors and counters and rocks and basically, trying to get people's attention so you can take them out, trying to avoid firearm combat. And I bring that because there's a giant sequence in Hundreds of Beavers where he's infiltrating the beaver dam. And that's exactly what he's doing. It's like a stealth video game like Metal Gear Solid or Splinter Cell. Our fur trapper guy, even though he has a big raccoon hat on and everything, he's hiding in shadows. He's waiting for beavers to turn their back, like in a video game, so he could sneak past them. So this whole infiltrate the beaver dam sequence is totally a Metal Gear Solid game, but done in a silent film fashion with beavers. So playing the James Bond game had me, in stealth mode. So watching this film, it's like, oh, I appreciate it even more because I'm currently going through that. Um, I want to ask, is there a particular gag or joke or slapstick moment that really stuck out with you in this film?
Hmm. There was one that was a Buster Keaton, and I think it's where he's running on the snowball that I remember. And I think I even commented that that was kind of like a Buster Keaton.
Mhm.
I really love Buster Keaton, so I kind of felt like that was kind of a thing. Um, yeah, I think maybe that one. There's so many though. I was definitely laughing through a good part of the film. It might be that because I thought it was kind of clever because the beavers kind of create this tower like a kaiju character.
So no, so all these beavers leap up in the air and merge into a giant kaiju beaver.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it. So they go "Whoop, whoop, whoop," and merge together Voltron style.
Yeah, and he's on the snowball of pelts and he's running on the snowball. And it did. It kind of reminded me of Buster Keaton. So, what about you?
There was a reoccurring joke of the merchant whenever like he didn't agree with something, he has a mouth of chew, and so like
Mm.
kind of like what Bluto would do or something, he would like squish his mouth around and then spit his tobacco out to a spittoon, but he would keep missing. So the spittoon would be there and his chew cud or whatever would just, miss it entirely or go somewhere else. And but the joke has two payoffs. It actually so it's a reoccurring gag. He does this a couple times. Like if he catches Jean talking to his daughter, he'll go patooey and miss the spittoon. Um, but the joke happens a couple times, but it has two payoffs. The first payoff is um, uh, the trapper guy. Let's try that again. The merchant guy is like getting into Jean's face or something, and he spits his chew right at his face, which is gross. But to deflect it, Jean picks up the spittoon and puts it in front of his face, and because the joke's been he can't hit it, the chew cud just goes whoo and just whizzes right past him because the spittoon deflected it. So I thought that was clever. And then at the very end of the movie, spoiler alert, the very fast last frame, because this merchant guy, he wants all these beaver pelts because this is a period piece film. This is still when like Dutch Indies Company or whatever is doing fur trapping to ship furs back over to Britain to make, hats and stuff. So that's why he wants all these furs, is, he's gonna be rich from it. So Jean comes rolling in on his snowball, and the snowball's there because all his pelts are in it. The pelts are, you know, roll down a hill, pick up snow.
It's like the
Katamari ball.
Yeah, Katamari ball. Yep.
So-
Another video game reference.
So the ending shot is he delivers the hundreds of beaver pelts, and he goes in to kiss the girl, but the dad, the merchant guy who's disapproved of Jean the entire film because he thinks Jean is a drunkard and he's not going to be successful. But now he has hundreds of beaver pelts he's going to sell. He swoops in there and steals the kiss from Jean instead, and then Jean's mouth is filled with tobacco chew, which he spits out, and it goes inside the spittoon. It's kind of gross, but it works as a cartoon gag. So it's just fun, payoff, set up some payoffs for a long-running joke. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
As gross as I described chewing cuds and spittoons is a good gag.
Yeah.
I guess one other gag is, as he's trying to suss out how to like kill rabbits for food, he turns to making snowballs. At first he's like trying to throw snowballs, but his arm is so weak they just go poop. And then he realizes he can roll the snow and turn it into a giant, snowball. And so it elevates to, he basically forms a bowling ball, throws it, and of course it picks up, and he has the bowling ball stance, and the bowling ball of snow is about to hit these rabbits, but because it's a bowling ball, it's got your finger holes. It runs over them, but they go through the finger holes, so they're unscathed. You can't really describe these gags. I'm doing a terrible job. You have to watch the movie to see it. It's trying to describe a joke and why it's funny. You kind of kill it. I don't mean to.
Mm-hmm. I will say, kind of different from some of the Peplum films, is that I would say that whereas we usually have, very defined villains, and I don't think necessarily the beavers are, the main villain, or even the wolves. I feel like they're animals.
They're still animals.
Yeah, they're still animals. I think the real villain comes down to more of personal vice and weaknesses, and getting, overcoming those weaknesses and finding your destiny. I really think that that's kind of at the crux of this film, and I think that that does help with the hero's journey, is that it really does become kind of this personal mission and his destiny to be able to get the marriage with the
young lady.
merchant's daughter. And
yeah, there's no villains. I'd agree. There's maybe quasi-antagonists. Like the merchant is probably kind of antagonistic because he doesn't like Jean and he's the barrier to, the lady. But there is a set of beaver policemen who are dressed like Sherlock Holmes and Watson,
yes.
who trail Jean around and witness all his murdering. And they're like, oh my God, how are we? So I guess they're kind of antagonists because they're the authority that's trying to stop Jean. But that's stretching it.
Yeah.
But a Sherlock Holmes beaver that's witnessing all this beaver death is morbidly hilarious.
I want to see that, and I'm already playing with titles in my head for today's segment. We're unfortunately we've reached the end of our conversation today, and you guys always have a lot going on. What can we look forward to from the scholars from the Edge of Time? And how can people find you and enter your world?
So my website's at nickdiak.com. I'm constantly putting essays up there, links to all of our podcasts and vidcasts and our bookstores. As for what's coming up, I've got more comic books to review. I got to work on my Emmanuel book. As for Scholars from the Edge of Time next month, TBD, but I know with Christopher Nolan's Odyssey coming out soon, we'll probably do something related to that. Maybe watch a Helena Troy movie or something to get us pumped for the new Odyssey film.
Yeah. I don't have much to, social media wise. Check out Nick. I do have the Pango Books storefront, virtual storefront there. Yeah, I don't know. Just doing it. Herding cats.
Yeah,
So
we've got two cats up here now, two torties that are
yeah.
like, what's going
Tess made very minimal appearances today. Her tail a few times and when we looked at her up. So
Yep.
she goes, so today she's the hidden producer.
Yes. But I think with that, we will pass the torch of knowledge back to you, Hercules, to
Very
take
much.
us home.
It's always a pleasure to have you guys on the show, and you're awesome. And happy birthday, Nick.
Ah, thanks, man. Thanks, sir.
Conversation.
So yeah, everyone, Hundreds of Beavers, good. Empire, bad. Hundreds of Beavers for sure. Highly recommended.
Yeah.
The graphic of that put on the promo. You'd be well.
All right, cheers.